a lot of things really upset me and anger me in politics, right? But intellectual disingenuousness is definitely up there.
One of the things that gets me most of all is the hypocrisy. You just mentioned real world. When I heard on the radio a couple of days ago that there was questionings of Mr. Luxon, because whilst he's telling all the public servants to pay for learning Tarot, he was getting Tarot for free, being paid for by us. I put a message out on my Instagrams. I said, oh my God, for the commentator out there, Luxon is just the gift that keeps on giving. And it would be hilarious if it wasn't so fucking serious for the vulnerable, for Māori, for people in those marginalized groups. So it can't be hilarious. And I'm not in one of those groups, so I have to be careful with that. But from the outside looking in, all we're seeing is them saying something and doing the other. Like we're going to drive down smoking while we take away the smoke-free 2025. It just goes on and on and on. What is it like from the inside, looking across the house to that kind of thing?
Oh, it feels like gaslighting. Kind of as I was alluding to before, Pat, I wouldn't say that I necessarily respect people who prosecute and push forward policies that I know are going to hurt people, but I find it especially egregious when people are pretending as though they're going to do one thing while knowing full well that the evidence says that the kind of line of policy that they are pushing is going to do exactly the opposite. And we saw that, for example, with the government continuing to hold to the line that the removal of fair pay agreements are somehow going to benefit low-wage workers, despite their own official advice saying exactly the opposite. So yeah, I don't really know how to necessarily communicate to the public that they should still hold faith in our political institutions when, the leaders of these institutions are pushing forward in ways like that, beyond just to say that, politics has always been a manifestation of the will of the people, whether that is those who have been engaged in the system or those who have neglected engaging in the system. And it has only ever changed when we've had a critical mass of everyday people who've decided to not put up with the status quo anymore. Better is possible, and everything always seems impossible until one day it all happens overnight. But that's been by virtue largely of decades worth of work from activists and organizers and people at the front line. So what does it feel like? It feels like gaslighting. It feels like insanity. It feels just like every single day the government is intent on lighting all of these fires, and we're going to have to figure out how to sustainably and strategically choose which fires we're sending our firefighters to that we actually want to put out, And then you've got, on top of that, this layer of kind of cultural warfare that nobody asked for. So I just can't determine a rhyme or reason. And that's why, you may have heard in the media a few weeks ago, I had been going through the coalition documents trying to figure out how to summarize this in an easily accessible way to people. And the best that I could kind of come up with is these are not serious people. This is deeply silly politics.